And here we are. And watch your step. Just go ahead and keep an eye out, like I said, for those kind of tricky and quite airborne pots and pans. Minor pest issue. Well, I certainly don't know what that would be about. Hello. Well, I do regret seeing you again under these circumstances. I thought that we had the sale on this beautiful mansion all but closed up, but you did request a secondary showing and final walkthrough before the closing paperwork and formalities are taken care of, I see. So you had some discrepancies show themselves on the home appraisal. Right, and what were those, if you don't mind my asking? So the homes, the age of the home was vastly undeterminable. Okay, yeah, right. And the time on the market seemed to be much, give or take, longer, decades or so, than we originally posted. Right, well, I don't really see how those could give you second thoughts on your purchase and, lead us to this secondary showing, but I do appreciate your thoroughness in your ability to purchase a home, even one as naturally amazing as this antique and vintage mansion. But I love this home so much that I don't mind showing it again. Alright, and please do raise any concerns that you might have or things that might have come to your awareness since your first viewing. Right, well, as you saw on our first tour through the home, this is the main entrance. As you can see, we do, like I stated previously, have a full towed staff that is ready to serve and be at your beck and call. Of course, the decision for hiring household help or going without is completely up to you, and although I can wholeheartedly recommend the towed service, the decision is ultimately yours. Right, well, why don't we go ahead and take a look at a few of those areas that you wanted to have a second look at. Let's start here on the first floor, why don't we? Alright, please follow me. Well, before we continue down the hallway and take a look at what the dining room was it that you had an issue with on the appraisal? Right, well, let me just find the key to the dining room. There are a lot of keys to this home, I will forewarn you of that, but when you do purchase a mansion as extravagant as this one, then there are bound to be many rooms, and with many rooms come many keys. So if you would just give me a moment to shuffle through this key ring and find, is that the one? No, that's not it. Find the proper key. I do apologize, we do have this issue every once in a while, but not to worry. Here we are, the dining room key. So let's go ahead and what's that? Where? No, I don't see anything. Bats? We would never have bats in a place as nice as this, and I'm sure that's just the vintage lighting playing a trick on your eyes. Maybe the flicker of my candlelight that's casting shadows or something like that. Well, you say the appraisal mentioned a few anomalies. Well, that's the first, certainly the first that we've heard of such things, so I wouldn't worry about it. I'm sure that a nice final walkthrough will set your mind at ease. So let's just continue to that dining room. Alright, yes, right this way. And I do apologize for the strange mess left in this room. That's very unusual for this mansion. I assure you, it's most likely just a mistake with the toad on staff here, so I'll have them talk to immediately about that. I assure you, when you do go through with the closing procedures for this home, this will not be something that you need to worry about. That at the table, yes, well, that's actually just the lighting, right, the lighting in this house can be a bit peculiar at times, and the shadows and sconces and things like that on the walls tend to cast a source of light from multiple directions, let's say, and sometimes things can look a bit strange or even worrisome if you aren't trained and adapted to such elegant and high-class fixtures and things of that nature on the walls. So that, of course, I wouldn't worry about. It has nothing to do with the mess and dishes and food scraps left on the table. That's, like I said, I'm sure that the toad, the staff of toads, maybe they just threw themselves a bit of a party to celebrate the purchasing of the home by such an elegant, high-class, and just esteemed status figure as yourself. So that I would just take as a compliment, and maybe view this room and its state as just a glimpse into the possibilities that one could have with the extravagant parties and hosted events, of course. Let's go ahead and move on, actually. Let me just grab the key. Let's go ahead and take a look. Ah, there it is, at the kitchen. I'm right this way. And here we are, and watch your step. Just go ahead and keep an eye out, like I said, for those kind of tricky and quite airborne pots and pans. Just as long as you stay where you are at, I don't think we should worry about any contact made, but that, I can't explain that exactly. And you didn't see any of this on your first tour. That's strange, unlikely. Just rather weird that these things wouldn't have been noticed on your first tour. Maybe you were just a bit sleepy or something like that. I wouldn't worry about it. These anomalies can be very, very eloquently explained. This, as I'm sure was not explained to you, right, I was the one that gave you the first tour. Maybe I just forgot about the fact that this is a smart home. Right, you've heard of those things. Even with mansions of this ancient and, I guess, older, we would call it, vintage style, even they have been converted to smart homes. So I'm sure it's something wrong with the firmware. I think that's how that works. And as you can see, some of the dishes are, I think, just glitching out a bit. Right, again, not too many questions about that, please. I don't have a lot of time to go over the boresome details or, things of that nature that aren't really exciting with a home like this. Let's actually just focus on that wonderful trim work and the nice carvings in the door, right? Yes, those are the things that I would definitely keep my eye on. Right, so let's go ahead and let's go ahead and check out that rec room. I know that you said you do enjoy a quite active lifestyle. Right, okay, follow me, please. And here we are. I can just hear that blood pumping and the exertion of physical activity and weight training just emanating from the walls here. You can tell that this is a room where goals are met and progress is achieved. Right. Oh, yes, that is a projection hologram. Like I said, smart home, very smart. That is just to demonstrate the possible exercises and things that can be accomplished in a room like this. It's almost just used as a motivating factor. How's it lifting the weights? Well, that is a great and very astute question by you. That is undiscovered technology that I think I might just get in trouble for divulging the details of. So let's leave that up to the imagination, right? Just don't get too close because very realistic hologram, right? Well, other than that, as you can see, we have all up-to-date equipment here. All of this comes with the home, of course. We have nice plush padded mats to keep the weights from making too much unnecessary contact with the vintage oak wood floors. And right. And we also do have just a plethora of cardiovascular equipment, free weight dumbbells, as well as fixed weight machinery and things of that nature. I could see someone like you spending a lot of time in here and really just becoming the peak version of oneself, right? And if you're not one who enjoys that sort of thing, then of course you could use this as storage or even just show off to your friends and claim that you use it a lot. Right, and really the options are endless. But like I said, maybe pick your times wisely when you show someone this room. Maybe you don't really want the hologram always being displayed. It might scare off your guest with how technologically advanced your home is. Alright, well, what other room were you wanting to go ahead and take another peek at? The conservatory, of course, really elegant room. And someone of your taste, I'm not surprised. Let's go ahead and take a look. Like I said, mind the hologram. The conservatory. Yes, this is a place to sharpen your skills and express yourself with musical art. It's, of course, equipped with many various instruments, all furnishings, and decorative or itemized options of the home come with your purchase. Yes, one might say that they are quite tied to the essence of the home itself. So anything that you see on your tour, and I do mean anything, comes with the home. Right? We've been trying to get rid of this home. Find a suitable buyer for this home for a century, months. Right. You heard me correctly. Right. Yeah, the audit and assessment of the home couldn't quite find the build date. Well, that's because we like to keep prestigious mansions like this off the public market as much as possible and really just link them up with prime candidates like you. Right, makes sense. I'm glad it does. Well, this room, like you see, can be suited for any needs. If you'd like to produce musical masterpieces and things like that, perfect. And if you would like to just use it almost as a nice place to sit and think about the elegance of the musical genre and profession, then it's a perfect place for that as well. Of course, with the windows, and you can hear that gentle rainstorm outside, you can sit and enjoy any type of weather or anything like that. And as you can see, no strange anomalies or anything like that, so it's a perfect, peaceful home. No projections in this room or anything like that. Right. The smart home status doesn't really extend itself all the way to this room. Of course. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the second floor of the home and go ahead and finish up with some of the bedrooms and things like that. I know you had a few questions regarding the assessment. Right. The inspection also picked up a few things. So, well, let's go ahead and go set your mind at ease. Follow me. Well, and here we are at the balcony entrance to the second floor. The main entrance there behind you with those dual grand staircases are really exquisite. One thing before we head on into the rooms and corridors and things like that of the second floor, I would like to remind you of the features in which drew you to the mansion. The things that you liked about the mansion on the first visit. Notice the character-laden intricacies of not only the sconces, the carpet, the woodwork inlays on the door there, but just the overall atmosphere and ambiance of the mansion itself. It's something that you should keep in mind if we do, as rare as it might seem, or be, stumble upon a few anomalies or things that stand out between now and your first visit. So keep those things in mind, allow them to wash away, and the ambiance and things that really are alluring of this mansion, please let those replace those negative aspects. So I do have the key here. Let's go ahead and head on and take a look at that study that you wanted to take a second look at. All right, follow me. And here we are in the study. Now, you did mention yes, the rocking chair. Well, it does that from time to time. It's something to do with the custom mahogany, I believe. At least that's what I've been told. So I know that you did have a question that was raised by the assessor and the inspection that you just so happened to have ordered before purchase went through, unfortunately for us. But the mahogany, it's something to do with counterbalance and its reaction. I think it's the magnetic poles of the earth, right? That might be it. But don't worry too much about that. No, that's really the only thing I see that stands out, so I don't think it's really something that we should continue to dwell upon. But what I do want to remind you of is the wonderful collection and plethora of fiction, non-fiction, historical books and literature there and you see, yes, the matching mahogany desk that you can work, study, or just lounge, enjoy a drink, a cigar, anything like that. All right, it's just a really wonderful room and just quite elegant, but regal as well. Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and let's try to move on as quickly as possible, because the rocking chair, we don't want to let that impact the way that we see the rest of the mansion, right? And you did see the master bedroom on your first visit, correct? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. I know that you raised a few questions based on the inspection, so I'd be more than happy to soothe any of those worries, right? Well, let's go take a look. I'll fetch that key and see if we can set your mind at ease. Oh, there we are. Right this way. All right, and here we are at the wonderfully spacious master bedroom. There's no issues that that pesky inspection picked up on or anything like that. I see that you once again noticed the dual king bed. It's quite spacious, and this room offers quite a bit. And now that you mention it, I do see that broken window there. Not exactly sure how that would have not been noticed on the first tour or anything like that, but it's unfortunate that it did take place. But the good thing about a broken window is that it can be replaced, so I will see to it that the Toad staff has it fixed in a jiffy, so no worries. But let's actually look on the bright side. The cool and the frightening air that's pouring into the room, it's actually giving us a great example of that. The ceiling fan does indeed work, so who says that things don't look up from time to time, because that is a good sign, especially with a mansion this old. So I would actually take that broken window as quite a positive if I were you. Right. Well, other than that, as you can see, it's just a broken window can happen in any mansion, and of course there's no need to be extremely alarmed of a place like this. This room has just not only that rustic, and of course all of the furnishing comes with the home purchase, but it has just that feeling of this place would be perfect to make your own. Almost like a blank canvas that has some lines already traced on it and almost a full picture that you just get to color in, right? And perhaps then just a few things that are unseen that are only revealed once the full picture is completed. But other than that, are you satisfied with the things that we can fix? Perfect. All right. Yeah, we can go ahead and take a peek at the other two bedrooms there right down the hall, just to make sure that everything is up to par. Right, not a problem. Not a problem. That's how transparent we are here in the mansion. So we would love to show you each room. Follow me. And here we have the other bedroom, the guest room. As you can see, it is nothing out of the ordinary. It's a perfectly regular room. No anomalies or red flags, anything that might pop up on a further inspection or appraisal. You are going to get a second opinion, of course. Well, this is maybe a room that they should start in when they come to look and view the property, because it's just something that shows the light-hearted nature of the mansion. And of course, this used to be a child's room, so you can redecorate this and really dress it up for any occasion or use that you would like. But see, we do have a dartboard there, which shows that the mansion is accustomed to a lighthearted and fun nature and events that are not to be worrisome or anything that you should concern yourself with, though. So maybe just start with this room on your next tour, because it's very normal and something that you can expect with the rest of the home. Right. So do you care to go ahead and just end the tour? You'd like to take another look at a few additional rooms. Okay, no problem. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lounge. How about that? All right, follow me. I knew we'd find the key for the lounge sooner or later. I do apologize. We have had a bit of trouble with the doors from time to time. Seems like they like to lock and relock on their own, but no problem. Yes, the thorny kind of metallic decoration, if you will, is standard with these era of mansions, so not to worry. But this wonderful lounge is the exact opposite of worry. It's, as you can see, perfectly suitable for a stress-free and relaxing environment. We do have vintage wine on the table. We have your bookshelves, armoires, and things to hold dishes or whatever you would like. We have an armchair with a footrest that I think will be perfect for those long and cozy nights, especially with a nice thunderstorm, as you can hear just gently pounding on the roof there. So if you do hear any strange noises, that's definitely what it is. But were there any other rooms that you needed to double check on? Hopefully not. Okay, so you did want to take a look at the butler room, or as we like to call it, the toad room. It's where the staff and other workers here in the home like to do their repair projects and any kind of work that they need to get done. It's adjacent to the laundry room, actually. All right, yeah, we can go ahead and take a look. I don't really think it's necessary per se, but let's go ahead and humor ourselves, shall we? All right, this way. And here we have the laundry room first. So as you can see, just an ordinary laundry room. No issues with the smart home functions or anything like that. I think the firmware is perfectly up to date in this room. As you can see, it's suitable for either yourself to utilize any of the machinery or sinks, wash tubs, anything like that, or if you'd like to just have the staff take care of it. That's the recommendation on my part, of course. But this is an excellent area to take care of all of the linens and everyday clothing and other items like that that need washed. It's really just a utility room, but once again, just an explanation and example of how ordinary and just perfectly standard mansion this is. Right, and that should wrap up our tour, so if you'd like to follow. That's right, you did mention the butler room. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look. And here we are, the butler room. As you can see, nothing that would spark any interest or raise any concerns on it did few things pop up on the inspection. And what might that be, if you don't mind, I ask? There seemed to be a minor pest issue. Well, I certainly don't know what that would be about. This is just an area that is, like I said, used to repair linens, as we do have some sewing machines and other items, and any kind of repair or woodworking that is necessary, or anything that the staff just needs to work on project-wise. This is the perfect room for that. And you spotted some of the rodents. Well, I do apologize. We do need to regretfully inform you that we are aware of maybe an ever so slight, very rare on occasion. We've spotted a few rodents or mice, to be very more specific, from time to time, and specifically in this room and at other areas of the home. But it's something that we don't see often, and maybe just one or two slightly larger numbers of mice have been spotted from time to time. So it's something that, of course, can be fixed and taken care of. And of course, we give you our word that it will be fixed before the closing procedures are complete. Right. Yes, I do see what you mean. There are several just skittering around, but what's that? Yes, I can see. I can see those anomalies there. Right, I did mention that I didn't see anything else in the other rooms. You're correct about that. This is a quite different situation. But let's go ahead and head back to the entrance, and I think that we did have one other thing to show you or something like that. So if you'd like to just follow me, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Sure. Why don't you tell me more about that travel you had on the way here? That seemed like a really interesting story, right? Yes. Well, that seems to conclude our final walkthrough, hopefully, before the purchase is complete, right? I think we did cover everything on your list of concerns and red flags that were raised during your appraisal and inspection. Any questions or anything? I know I've smoothed over any of the concerns that you did have, but did you have any other compliments or things that you loved about the home? Really, you'd like to have a bit of a second thought about the home in general. Well, I am surprised, I'm shocked even. I'm very disappointed to hear that, but I think maybe you would be interested to know that we have just approved a very substantial price drop. If you would be interested in really getting a good bargain on this place. In fact, we might even give it away if you really play your cards right. Right. You'd still like to have a second thought. All right. Well, I do really hope that you let us know as soon as possible, because we do have someone else on the list, quite far down the list, but on the list nonetheless. So I wouldn't wait. You never know who else might stumble upon a mansion like this and want to spend a bit more time enjoying the atmosphere. All right. Well, I do think, even though that I do hope that we can talk this over more, I do think that it's best not to linger, especially in this generalized area we have had. Actually, let's just go ahead and continue outside, if you don't mind. Right. Well, I do look forward to hearing back from you, but let's go ahead and head on out the door. I don't want anything, hanging over our heads too awfully long, if you do know what I mean. Right this way.